It's been a little while since we've had some trail talk here in studio. That's why Allison Page is back in our studio, of course, of Trail Talk and of the book Trails Talk. I'm thrilled to have Allison Page here in studio. Hello.
Hello.
It's great to have you back.
Thanks to have
me. It's time for a little Joe Davis therapy, apparently.
Yeah,
Every time, you know, I kind of think of this show in a little small way as a therapy session because I'm talking, and talking is what it's really all about, isn't it? Therapy starts right there. So tell me about that.
Yeah. Well, everybody wants to tell their story, and we all have a very different story. And I think that it really does help that once you start talking about things that you haven't talked to anybody about, it sheds light on it. And once you shed light on something, it can't be a secret anymore. So we're only as sick as our darkest secrets. I can't remember who said that, but it's true. So if you've been struggling with a particular issue and you actually talk about it, it's like, oh, that feels better.
Right.
Even emotions, like a lot of people don't want to say, I'm angry, and just kind of saying, I'm angry, but then it's like, now what do I do with that anger? Instead of holding that anger in and internalizing it, you state it, you say, I'm angry, okay. It doesn't own me, it's an emotion.
Right.
And now I choose what to do with that emotion.
Okay, so with anger, let's talk about that for a minute. A lot of people think that it's best to sort of get that out, like not just saying it, but feeling it and expressing it. Does that expression have to go beyond just saying I'm angry? Does it have to actually be the verbalization of, like kind of getting it out? How does that work?
Well, sometimes I think that's true, because we do feel emotions are meant to be felt, right? And they inform us, and anger informs us. Oftentimes anger will bring us to action, but anger can also be used to control people and to control their life and to keep people away from you. So it really it depends on understanding. It's like, I'm having this emotion, okay, now choosing what to do with it. And yes, physically, pounding it out, not on your little brother, not on your projecting it onto someone, with words, but actually maybe getting outside and running or moving and pounding a pillow or screaming in your car,
throwing
just
socks.
To allow yourself to feel it. And then, okay, I feel this, I got it. Now, how do I choose to respond to it instead of reacting? That's the difference between reacting and responding.
Okay, let's talk about that, because I tend to be reactionary. I know that. I know that when someone says something that I don't like, I'm probably going to react instead of taking the time to even think for a moment. Is that the difference between those two, that thinking moment?
Yes, and that brings us to our topic today about our thought patterns and being in the present versus the past and the future. So what happens is we have these I call them thought train tracks, and they're thought patterns, and they follow a certain track. They're actually neuro pathways in our brain, and we've embedded them, and they're ways of reacting. And so we have this automatic thought, and the thought is not the same thing as a feeling. The thought is, I am stupid, I made a mistake, I'm not good enough. There's some thought about, a cognitive thought about yourself, a negative one, right? So that automatic thought, and what it does is it causes a chain reaction, and that's the reaction part. So you have a thought, I am something, and then it makes you feel bad, you're sad, you're angry, you're anxious, and then you react. And without even thinking, it's an automatic pattern, right? Well, the reaction isn't always positive. It doesn't always serve us well. We can avoid, we can run away, and I'm not dealing with it, just don't want to deal with it. Or we can self-medicate and numb ourselves so we don't have to feel it, or we can absorb ourselves in something else, but we don't actually respond to it, And so it doesn't, and then that reaction continues, and sometimes it blows up, like our reaction will be, we blow up at our wife, or we scream at our kids because it's a thought, I'm not good enough. Oh, I feel bad. Do you get what I mean?
Yeah, and in fact, for mine, it seems to be, if I'm starting to hear something that starts to sound negative, I worry that it's all encompassing, it's going to come to an end, an abrupt and horrible end, right?
Yeah.
And that's a thought pattern that I've developed, apparently.
Yeah,
right?
yeah. And so so again, it's really recognizing that you have these oftentimes the errors they're thought errors. They're not really true. Am I good enough? I'm absolutely good enough. But for some reason, I'm trying to prove that I'm not good enough, or I'm trying to find evidence that I'm not good enough, whatever.
Right.
But that thought is going to lead to a feeling, and it's really uncoupling the thought and the feeling is really a style of therapy called cognitive behavioral therapy.
So I guess we can take from that is that I'm pulling from the past of what's happened before. That's the train track, and my future is, and that's where it's going to go.
Worst case
right
scenario.
Down that rail.
Oh my gosh, yeah, I can see it. You know, we have 99% of our thoughts are made up because they haven't even happened yet, and that's living in the future.
We have only a moment or two left, so let's talk about what the balance board is about here. I'm going to move the chair back a little bit. This is an exercise in that, right?
Yeah. So I don't know if the photo can come up, but I'd love to see the picture of the Rocket Man. So I use this analogy.
Let's scoot this back just a little bit. We're going to
use this metaphor.
Okay. Yeah. There's a Rocket Man right there.
Called Rocket Man. And so when I had a hard time understanding what it means to be in the present moment. And when you're in the present moment, you're really busy paying attention to what's happening right now. Being in the present is a dynamic moment. You're not balanced. It's not static. You got to be thinking. No, not thinking. You got to be seeing, hearing, feeling, smelling, touching in order to be balanced right in the present moment.
Okay.
Now, if you fall to the right or the left, that's the past, a woulda, shoulda, coulda. The future is what if, worst case scenario. And that's where fear resides. And so when you start getting anxious and scared, you got to think, okay, pull back, come back into the present moment, because there's no fear here. They're safe. Is it possible that a bomb could go off? Yeah. Is it probable? Probably not. Okay. So try balancing. Hold my hand first.
We're up here real quick.
Now keep your knees bent. Get your feet more in the middle.
I am not like much of a balancing guy here. Okay.
Keep your knees bent.
There we go. Well, I think I got it. Okay.
Yeah. See, while you're here balancing in the present moment, you can't be thinking about your grocery list or driving back down the canyon and whether or not you're going to ski.
Balanced yet again here as we come to the end of the program. So I'm trying to stay in the moment.
Yeah.
Right here.
And you gotta
10 seconds left of the Mountain Morning Show's first hour.
Yeah.
I'm feeling balanced, and in a moment we'll be back with more right after these messages. Welcome back to the Mountain Morning Show, where I am joined again by Allison Page of Trail Talk and the book Trails Talk. And trails do talk, don't they? They're telling us something when we're out there. What do they tell us?
They tell us to pay attention and to pay attention to all of our senses. So see, feel, hear, smell, touch, and that brings us into the present moment when we tap into our senses. So yeah, this Trails Talk is a walking meditation through the trails of Park City. I've been in Park City 30 years, and it's all about the hustle and bustle of Main Street and ski racing and going fast. But there's really a quiet side to Park City, and you can get into the woods and you're alone, and it can be very meditative.
But as Garth Algar says in Wayne's World, live in the now, right?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah,
live in the now.
Yeah, that's right. When you were balancing on the balance board, trying to be present, but living in the now is a dynamic process. It's not static.
It's hard. Okay,
it's
I want to
really
talk about that a minute, because I don't quite get it. People say this all the time, and I'm like, how do I do that? Because the propensity to think about what has happened and how that affects what might happen, and then starting to think what might happen. It's like the boss when he says, come in and close the door. Oh, come on. Like, that's like the last thing I want.
Right.
Right?
Right.
Because they've got a built up kind of plan of what that means.
Yeah. It's like when you get a text and it's like, call me ASAP. First, what's ASAP mean? But also, it's like, call me now. It's the first thing we think is, what I do wrong? And so we immediately jump to ourselves. And so instead, it's really about, okay, do I have all the facts? No. So it's really reeling yourself back into the present instead of going to the future or the past, and that's where fear resides, right?
Okay.
When you come into the present moment, you can ask yourself a series of questions. Okay, call me ASAP. It's your mother. Oh my gosh, I'm in trouble. It's like, well, maybe she needs, maybe her car broke down. So it's really, do I have all the facts? It's really, it's about Just slow down, take a breath. Okay, what am I thinking? What am I feeling? Well, I'm feeling that anxiety again because Mom told me to call her, so it's got to be something bad. Well, maybe it's not. Do I have all the facts? And so you start asking yourself a series of questions to bring you back into the present moment so that you're not spending all this real estate in your mind worrying about something that didn't even happen. Because we make up all this stuff in our head and it's not even true.
So it's not uncommon for us and not even wrong for us to look back and look forward, right?
No.
But it's important to try to bring ourselves to the center of that.
Well,
right?
Our life is lived moment to moment. It's about right now. It's actually moment to moment. Right?
Not now,
That's
but
being
now.
in the present.
Not
yeah,
now, but now. Right.
The past is over. Can't do anything about it.
Yeah.
We can learn from it.
And we're seeing a little bit of that now with we've got is this the Sherpa here, the life?
Oh yes.
Sherpa, yes.
Well, that's life. Life has overwhelmed the Sherpa.
Life has overwhelmed
yeah.
the Sherpa.
Yeah, and we oftentimes do get knocked down, and we oftentimes have a lot of losses, but we get back up as we did again this morning, and we choose. And it's really about what we choose to think about. And we have a lot of power over our thinking, the power of our thoughts. It's amazing. And so it's really choosing our thought paths. Remember the thought trains, and that could be another session.
Indeed.
Yes.
Well, I need a few sessions. This, again, Motivational Monday on a Tuesday here. One thing that we saw there was the Sherpa with the big pack. Not the best plan, right? Carrying everything with you.
Well, it's really about carrying other people's baggage. And a lot of times being an emotional Sherpa means, you throw a lot of anxiety and fear onto other people, like our spouses, our partners, our parents, our children, and that the person that is the emotional Sherpa is the one that says, oh, let me help you out, the peacekeeper, the one that's trying to make it all better, but they're carrying other people's baggage as well. If you see someone in the airport, it's a perfect example. Dad's got everybody's backpack. Mom's on the phone checking her mail,
right,
and then all the kids they're carrying their coffees and their Cinnabons, and then Dad's got all the stuff. Or the mom has got everybody's baggage. We can't do anybody's journey but our own, and it's really the emotional Sherpa is carrying other people's stuff when they don't need to be, and that's really understanding our role in families and in relationships and relationship patterns.
It's great to be a good dad, but we don't have to carry everybody's baggage.
Right, and it's important to be empathic or empathetic. We don't have to do anybody's work for them, right? It's
so like, you say, gee, Charlie, I know that bag is heavy. Maybe pack a little lighter next time. Come on.
Yeah.
Right?
Yeah. It's like, I feel your pain. I mean, I can.
I understand.
I understand. I want to be there for you. I can't do it for you. So you're going to have to consider what you carry in that bag.
Wow. Well, this brings us, I think, at a good moment back to Trails Talk. This is your new book. This is, I think, a really great exercise in getting, again, outside, of course, seeing what's around us and living in those moments. You mentioned, seeing wildlife. We walk right past it. We drive right past it all the time because we are so caught up in our past and our future that we don't see it now.
Yeah, well, our brains are meant to, they're robust, they're supposed to be thinking all the time. It's just, how do we bring ourselves back into the present moment so we don't miss the moment, and we're not traveling into the future because we really miss it. Think about, for the rest of the day, just be aware how much time you spend thinking about the future that hasn't even happened yet, or the woulda, shoulda, couldas, and just be aware of that and say, oh, let me come back to the present. What's happening right now? What am I seeing? What am I feeling? What am I hearing?
Be there with your family. Be there with yourself. Be there with your friends.
Yeah.
Right then and there.
Yeah.
Oh, I love it. This book is available at Dolly's?
It is, and it'll soon be on Amazon. You can go to my website also.
All right. Thank you so much, as always, for being here. I appreciate the therapy,
it's great.
the time. It was
so
terrific.
Fun.
I only
Thanks
wish we could get the full hour of therapy in. Everybody needs a little of that. It is a good, healthy exercise, and getting outside, of course, getting some trail talk yourself, a really good idea. An emotional tune-up, as it were. We've got a lot more coming up here on the Mountain Morning Show as well. We've got some great guests waiting in the wings. Craig Gordon is here with Utah Avalanche. He knows about living in the now, but he's prepared for the future. That comes up right after this.